Hey all, it's Friday, April 11th. Out in the garage this afternoon, we're going to start putting the timing set in our 96 Subaru Impreza 2.2 liter. We're going to be autocrossing it on Sunday, and having just got this car and we have no history of any of this thing, so the timing belt I wanted to replace. And I did obtain what is called a timing set. It comes with all new idlers, pulleys, and a new timing belt. And I did get the set that actually has a water pump, camshaft, and crankshaft seals as well. So we'll take that apart. I know we have one camshaft seal that does look like it's leaking. The other two don't, but we'll see what we get when we get inside. So the camera is going to be a little awkward today. It's kind of propped up on its little charging stand. The battery was dead when I turned it on, of course, so always prepared, right? So I've kind of gotten a little bit of a jump start on what we're doing. And here we start shake the cam. Here's our components. Here's our tensioner pulley, idlers here, new timing belt, water pump, some parts I've already taken off, and here's our crank seal and camshaft seals. Locally, these parts through our local auto stores were $350 to $400. I got these off an eBay vendor, and the whole set was $135. So I would highly recommend, I've used these before with great success, and I would highly recommend changing all these parts if you're going to have that off, because this car has 176,000 miles on it, and it's time to change some of this stuff. So with that there, what we've taken apart already is we've pulled the cover off either end, and the two fans here, and the regular belts and the tensioner for that. I've already taken that off. So we've also, let's see, I'm gonna get us a little bit more slack here. It's kind of strange running the camera with a cord to it, because it's just kind of weird. So anyways, I'll try to get us some slack, and I apologize. There's going to be some shaky cam here. But anyways, hopefully that's picking up. As you can see, alright, this is a dual overhead cam. There's only two cams, not four. Or, I'm sorry, single overhead cam. My apologies. So, from a previous job, these have been painted. There's a notch here in the cover, and there's a mark right here on the pulley. Both sides are the same. You can see that down in there. When you line these up, both of your camshaft pulleys go up, and then you line the mark. Sorry about that. So both of those pulleys are up. And you'll notice too that on our crankshaft pulley there is a graduated gauge right here, and to be honest with you, I have no idea why. That won't have anything to do with anything that we're doing. As far as I know, there are no marks on this pulley that correspond with that have anything to do with timing. So next up we're going to have to pull this pulley off, which can be somewhat of a challenge if you don't have one of these. This here is an actual Subaru special tool, and there's 4 holes in that pulley. Those pins go on it, and it gives you something to hold on to, and you can get a socket and a breaker bar in the center. So without that, to be honest with you, it's a pretty tough deal to get that off. I'm gonna shut you guys off for a sec. I'm gonna try to find a good spot to rig you up so we can see as much as we can here. Okay, we got you on there a little bit. So I hope it's not really very steady. Okay, so essentially this tool goes in. There's 4 holes in those in the pulley, and those pins go in. I'm going to rock it back slightly this way. The like that. That was very easy. That bolt that I just loosened up with no effort whatsoever is actually supposed to be at, I believe, 136 foot-pounds, something like that. Wasn't even close. Which is a problem, because one of the things that happens with these vehicles when people do this, if they don't get that tight enough, what happens is they better line that back up again. This pulley will actually wobble on the end of the crank, and when it does that, it rounds off the nose of the crankshaft and makes it so that the pulley itself, you can't keep it tight, and it starts to wobble, throws the engine out of balance, causes all kinds of issues. So, like I say, I'm glad we're taking this apart, because that was not even close to being tight. Now, of course, the next trick is going to be getting that off. This is a very long bolt that goes in and holds that down. Not really much of anything here to kind of push on for the most part. It's just plastic covers behind this, so you got to kind of be careful. You just got to get a little wiggle to it. And this one is dead stuck. Alright, I'm going to get some spray. I'm going to spray that off, let it set for a minute, and see if we can pop that off. Alright, what I've done is I put the bolt back in loosely, and I sprayed in the center here with some PB Blaster. And right here, which you can't see, but on the back of the pulley, you can go with a longer extension down behind the alternator to the back of it, and you can just tap on it. And I stress the word tap because, and that gets it moving. And once you get it moving, it'll come right off. But as you can see, the rust and corrosion in there, they just stick. So like I say, I stress the word tap because you don't want to damage any of these lands for the serpentine belt. So that's what you do to get that off. Once you have that removed, you can go through and remove all your bolts for the covers. Actually, there's only one. There's 3 covers. We've already taken 2 off. Extend that a little bit, I think. apologize for the compressor noise. Oops. Now I apologize because you can't see anything. Kind of a makeshift little deal here I got you guys on, so. Okay. The last bolt that we took out is shorter than the others, so make sure when you go back on, if the shorter one goes all the way down here on the bottom. All the others are the same length with the shoulder. Take your cover off. Sometimes these seals will stick to the block. Make sure you get those off as well. Waiting a second for that compressor to shut off, I hope. So this is what we got. There's our belt. There's our tensioner pulley with our hydraulic tensioner right there. This is the snub of our water pump. Idler, idler, okay? And then over here our other pulleys over there. Now I get a light. See if we can see the crankshaft position marks that we should line up to. Hopefully it's picking this up. If you look right there on the top, you'll see in the back, on the very top, there's a mark on that, and that mark lines up where right underneath the crankshaft position sensor. There's a little mark that lines up with right there. And what it does is it puts the keyway on the crankshaft straight down on the bottom. So if your crankshaft is the keyway straight down, you should see a mark here and line it up with a mark in the case here. And that's where they'll line up. Now, to release your timing belt tension. See, this is really awkward with this cord attached to this. But to release your timing belt tension, okay, we're going to come down, we're going to loosen these two bolts here, and that will let the tensioner slide back and release the tension on that there. Then we're going to take off this pulley, the tensioner pulley, this idler, and these other two idlers, and our belt. Okay, so we'll get you guys set back here. really wish I had something better to put this camera on, but it is what it is tonight, guys. With this car needed to go Sunday, we just need to get this done. So, okay, so I'm going to go in by hand, okay, and loosen the 2 tensioner bolts. I'm always kind of leery of just jumping right on these with an air tool. And I don't even have a real good reason. Okay, so the tensioner just slid back. Okay, so now we will take our tensioner pulley off. After we loosen that, we're going to loosen this one. Man, that was... Loosen this one. This one here has probably never been off. So it's fairly snug. Alright, now that those are loose, we'll zip them out of there. Oops. This is just a challenge. Okay. Okay, there's our tensioner pulley. Could take that up and out. Darn it. Problem is I keep bumping this little makeshift setup here. I'll try coming in this way. Okay, get that one out of there. This is our cogged idler. Then the next 2 idlers are just smooth. Okay, there's our second smooth tension. Alright, our belt will come right off now, there's no problem with that. Take notice that it is a Napa brand belt. So it's been changed. It doesn't really look horrible, but they very rarely do look bad. Now, take our tensioner out. Drop one of our bolts. This is our tensioner, and it's a hydraulic fluid pressure. You notice there's a hole here and a hole in the cavity. What we have to do is we're going to put this in a vise, and we're going to very slowly press this back and put a pin through that to hold it closed for reassembly. Okay, with the help of my lovely assistant, we'll try videoing it this way. Next thing I have removed is the camshaft sprocket on the passenger side camshaft. And the reason I took that off, it appears that that cam seal is leaking. So I'm going to change that. How I took this off was with the use of this tool, which fits in there like that. And as it's down in here, I was able, the back of the tool comes up and hits against this bracket, and you can snap the bolt loose. These bolts are pretty tight and usually kind of a challenge to get off. So we got that off, and now we'll get our air ratchet, and we'll take off this inner cover in here. Yeah, there you go. This inner cover in here, and that's the stub of the camshaft right there. Probably maybe down through there would be a better angle maybe. It's very hard videoing this because of the angle and stuff, and I'm too lazy to take the radiator out so we can go. It wouldn't matter anyways because the air conditioning can. Cover is very oily. Okay. And there we have a very, see the seal on the inside of that is just oil soaked and destroyed, so the cover's a little bit warped. You rub in there, that's what happens when they get oil soaked. So we'll pop this seal out and replace that, clean all this up here and put it back together. The crankshaft and the other camshaft are pretty dry, so I think we'll just leave those alone for now. Won't even mess with them, but we'll clean all this up. We'll change that seal and we'll be back.
Stop it.
Alright, so we got everything cleaned up. We've removed our water pump. Get ready for that. And our new camshaft seal is installed right here. Very simple to put those in. To remove them, I just put a screwdriver in there and hook them, being very careful not to scratch the surface of the cam. Hook them with a screwdriver and they pop right out. And then when you go to put them back in, just put some Vaseline on the camshaft around there and lubricate that. And on the outside of the seal, I use an ultra gray sealer. Just put a little smear of it around the outside of it, and then they just push right in with your fingers. Very, very simple to do. So we got that in, and we're ready to put all this side back together. Our water pump. We do want to make a note of something on our water pump. Here's our new pump. Here's the pump we took off. Now, camera girl actually had that question when we were doing this last night. She says, you know, why are you changing the pump? It doesn't look like it's leaking or anything. Well, it really didn't. But what you got on these, and you have to kind of watch for this. Aha. Well, I'm thinking it was leaking. What happens is they'll leak from the weep hole on the back side, and you'll never see any drips or anything like that because the heat of the engine and whatnot, it just burns right there. So that pump was indeed leaking. I'm glad that we did get the kit with the pump, and we'll just move on with our lives. So, but the one thing I want to talk about is the thermostat. And let's zip that off of there. Hold on just a sec. I'm going to take out this bolt, and there's another bolt right there, and then we'll see what's inside. Alright, so we took out 2 bolts, popped our thermostat housing off, and the point I want to make is, number one, the direction that the thermostat is installed. This is the bottom where the lower hose goes on. It's the bottom of the water pump. The thermostat needs to orient this way. Okay? The next point that I want to make is this little pin right here. This little jiggle pin is a vent. And what that vent does is it allows the coolant to circulate very, very slightly when the thermostat is closed. And that eliminates an air pocket on the other side of the thermostat. These are very, very susceptible to airlock. I've seen a number of engines over the years that were pretty severely damaged because of this right here. And this is a factory OEM Subaru thermostat. Do not use anything but that in these engines. Don't get the ones from the auto store. Don't get the ones on the internet. Go to Subaru, spend a few bucks, and get the actual OEM thermostat. That's very critical. None of the aftermarket ones have this same little deal in there. And some of them, they have one that looks like it, but I'm here to tell you they do not work as well, and they will cause problems. So make sure the thermostat's oriented right. Make sure you have an OEM thermostat with the correct jiggle pin. And you also notice where the jiggle pin is. See the location of it? Make sure that pin is always in this location when you install a new one, and then your housing goes on like that. Okay? That's kind of an important thing. I've actually even seen problems when these are oriented the wrong way. Rare, but I have seen it happen. They're very, very sensitive to this thing. And with head gasket issues and whatnot with these cars, this is a prime culprit for the cause of a lot of that. So just keep that in the back of the mind when you're working on your car and you have to replace any of these parts. The water pump we got is an OEM replacement, purchased through the aftermarket, but it's exactly the same. So I think we're going to cut this video off here. I'm going to swap our thermostat into that, put our housing back on. I'll put the water pump back on. The water pump is very simple. 6 bolts, goes right in. There is a seal that goes in this little channel right here. That does come with the water pump. We have to put it in. And over on this side, you'll see these surfaces here, actually like right here, they do seal on one of the other covers. So you put a very, very small amount of lubricant on these when you put them back in, and they slide right back into place. And it's a metal gasket that goes behind it. Don't really require any sealant of any kind on that gasket. Alright, so we're going to cut this one off here. We're going to call this good. We'll call it part 1, and we'll be back with part 2. We'll put this thing back together and get on down the road. Thanks.